Hello there. We're here to tell you that we have so much more to offer you now at our Mixed Tees store. Not just t-shirts and hoodies, but we do have plenty of those, and new designs for that matter. You can also get mugs, and of course our brand new limited Amber Turds stained blanket. That's right, just for your bed or wherever you need it. So head on over to Mixed Tees now and get all your apparel and goodies from Midnight's Edge.
Entertainment news today. You're such a dragon gay. Everything sucks and it's no good. That comes out of Hollywood. But there's one place you can go to get all your news and info, and maybe even have a laugh or two. You know it's true. Midnight's Edge after dark is life. We're stepping nerds and geeks, we will survive. From Star Wars to Jurassic Park, it's Midnight's Edge after dark. But MEAD never stops. We will keep going through the night as we keep up the culture fight. Midnight's Edge after dark is life. We stand for nerds and geeks, we will survive. From Star Wars to Jurassic Park, it's Midnight's Edge after dark.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark, your favorite show on the internets, whether you like it or not. It's just the way it is.
Weird.
I know, it's totally fucking weird. How you doing, Price of Reason?
I'm doing good. I'm just really surprised about Nick's avatar. It's a very strange... It's almost
very
like
dark.
He's not here.
He's like the Black Album. Boom, ba-dum, ba-dum, boom, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba. Say your prayers. My tape got ate up. Say your prayers. It's Nick Weiser. He's here with the flavor. All 32 of them. Sorry, that really sucked. How you doing, Nick?
Nick, what happened to your avatar?
Sad but true.
I went pro BLM is what happened tonight.
It's black. It could
Kind
be
of late
none...
to the party, to be honest.
It's like, how much more black could it be?
So
the answer is none.
Why not be blacker than the blackest black?
None more
infinity?
black.
Yeah, none more black, none bigger than black. So here I am.
I think I gotta change my background if that's the way you're gonna be looking through the whole show, though. Unless you got your icon thing.
No,
there. Now we can at least see you.
I can do the avatar. It's just fun doing blackface.
Oh,
See?
okay.
Yeah,
It's even blacker than the regular black. See, so it is like Spinal Tap.
yeah.
It's like so black, it couldn't be any blacker.
And by the way, chat, hello to all of you. Like, what's up?
Well, if you're part of BLM, then don't you get a mansion now? Yeah. See?
I'm waiting, man. I'm trying to. Hey, I'm
Yeah.
trying to keep. I'm trying to get on the Griff wagon. Maybe get a mansion. I can bring you guys all over. We could do an in-person show.
That's right.
We'll put a fish shoot on Price with huge balls on it. It'll be great.
BLM means big, large mansion, motherfucker. That's right. Get with the program. You'll get it tonight. BLM, bitch. That didn't work.
I've never tried to do rap. I think if I did rap, it would be
I'm pretty good at rap, but rap's not hard. I shouldn't say that. Rap it doesn't sound hard, but that's where you get a lot of people who think they can rap just fine, and yeah.
No, I mean, listen, I'll tell you what. I've sometimes had an issue with rap that, like, I I think that it's a genre, but when suddenly all the stations just want to play that and they're not playing other stuff, that I don't always like. But it is its own style, and it's not easy to, even if you're thinking, oh, it's just talking fast, it's not easy to just talk fast. You
I
got to
even
know
got
how
to
to do it.
give. I even got to give that guy who was at the fucking Super Bowl some credit. Like, yeah, he could rap. I didn't know his songs.
The
I've heard a
Kendrick
few of
Lamar
his
guy.
songs since then. Like now that I know who he is, right? But like, yeah, I mean, he's got some weird songs. I mean, I don't know if weird is necessarily the word I'd use, but I see why people say what they say about him now. But I'm still not impressed with his music overall. Lyrically, yeah, his music's okay. But I mean, we still have yet to get another Dr. Dre,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like,
I agree with you, and that's actually, it's funny because I usually don't do reviews like this, but when the Super Bowl happened, I did a review, and I said that I thought that it's not a matter if he has talent or not, because I think he does have talent, but it's a matter of when you're doing an event for like
yeah, we agreed on this. Yeah.
worldwide audience, you need a guy like a Dr. Dre that you may like hip hop or you may not like hip hop. That guy has produced, written, delivered hit after hit, and the kind of anthems that everybody knows. And Kendrick Lamar does not have, at least in my opinion, not a multi-generational kind of anthem situation. But some people
I
like
agree.
it. And you know what? I also didn't love that whole beef with Drake and stuff like that. All that stuff just seems stupid and annoying.
That seemed weird, yeah. But
Yeah,
now that I heard that he was having more of a Jim Morrison moment, that didn't bother me as much. But yeah, I agree. It was kind of like, this is not the place or the platform for that.
Right, exactly. And it's like, I just wasn't impressed with it, with all of that. I thought that there was a lot of nonsense. It's like they're trying to manufacture hype, but it's hype that to me looks stupid, dumb, and annoying. But it's fine if you like it. If that's what you like, it's fine. I'm not saying he doesn't have talent. It's just like
Yeah.
when I have to listen to something, I don't feel like listening to him. And if I wanted to listen
Well-
to hip hop, it probably wouldn't be him either.
Speaking of hip hop, you never touch a black man's radio. Isn't that right, Nick?
It
Of
sure is,
course.
Tom. And you know what? My pappy once told
And
me
you know
that
why I said that?
my pappy, wait a minute, Tom. My pappy once taught me that you never get between a man and his beefaroni.
Beach Boys, a great American music.
Oh, what's up, my?
Don't ever touch a black man's radio.
Oh, that's from Rush Hour.
Yep, that's
Duh,
right.
like, I was setting you up for a plug, Nick. Gosh,
I-
did you not watch the movie you're talking about tonight?
Oh,
I didn't.
did.
But I know.
At first, I'm
I know
like,
the damn thing by heart.
I could tell. I could tell. Well,
You
I was thinking
understand the
about
words that are
line
coming out of my mouth?
when Lee says to the ball title, "What's up, my Nick?" And all of a sudden, it starts to fly. I'm like, wow, I forgot about that line.
You can't make Rush Hour again now. Like I would love a Rush Hour 4, but
You can't do it. Everybody's all sensitive. You can't do it. But
Or when the lady comes out and like Johnson's her name, and after she was learning how to set off a bomb, and all of a sudden like Jackie Chan didn't realize he had his hands on her chest, even though it was like a bodysuit. Is it
Right.
Oh. I was like awkward. I was like
awkward. So yeah, tonight on Toxic Tuesday, you're talking a little Rush Hour starring
we're gonna
Jackie
be
Chan
watching Rush Hour.
and
Y'all,
what's his name?
y'all
Chris
come-
Tucker.
Y'all come hang out with us as we watch that Rush Hour movie.
redneck.
Chris Tucker, star of Rush
Tuesday.
Hour and Rush Hour 2 and Rush Hour 3 and Friday.
Well, one of the great cinematic masterpieces of all time, Tom. Rush Hour. It's Rush Hour 1, right?
Yeah, at least it's the
Rush
first one.
Hour.
The second and third one are not as good by
It'll be
far.
huge and diabolical. I actually
best-
like the second one. The second one has
It's
some
all
good
right.
has some good jokes in it. The third one, when they're in France,
Horrible.
that ain't my cup of tea. It ain't my
Do they
can
even
of
drink
beans, if
tea
you know
in
what I mean.
France? Do they even drink tea in France? I don't know.
It ain't my can of
mostly
beefaroni,
wine.
personally,
You
but
only
some people like that
assume.
shit.
You
Assume.
assume I didn't speak English.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
All right. So tonight, after this program, you can head on over to Toxic Tuesday. I might pop in there for a bit, even though I got a lot of work to do. We'll see if I can make it. So that's tonight after the program. Check out Rush Hour. But we got some news. We got some super chats here. We got Patrick Robinson sending in an early one who says, so we learned nothing from Spirit Halloween movie. Got it. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to get into that. John Riker says, do you think they will ever remake Clockwork Orange? John, it's funny you ask, because I just happened to research a little bit whether or not Kubrick had some kind of stipulation in his will as far as like whether he had ownership over his films, because I do know he was very protective over certain things, but I guess he did not. But I guess he's just one of those directors that nobody has wanted to touch yet. Because I was wondering if like there was some kind of stipulation, because the weird thing is have either of you seen Dr. Sleep? The sequel to The Shining? The quote unquote sequel to The Shining? No. Okay, well, here's the thing that's funny about it is like everything, they do a really they go out of their way to do a really goddamn good job of letting you know that this is a direct sequel to The Shining.
Yeah.
But there's a 25% different thing about it. So it makes me wonder if like they weren't able to go full on, because like it's little things, right? Like very little things that only somebody like me who knows about the whole 25% different thing would get, right? Like the carpet coloring is just a little different. His trike color is different. So there's like little itty bitty things they changed that you're like, wait, you went into so great of detail to try and make it look so much like it and evoke that movie. Yet there's this 25% different thing about it. I for the longest time, I wondered if they couldn't do sequels or remakes of his films, but since Warner Brothers owned the movie, that was how they found a loophole or something like that. That's what I was thinking.
I don't like the 25% different idea. That's like more frustrating and annoying than anything else.
Right, but I was saying is like I thought maybe there was some kind of stipulation that you couldn't touch his shit.
But so I have a question for you.
Around it, but like, yeah.
I have a question for you if you brought up the 25% different. Daredevil, it seemed like initially they wanted 25% different, but then they didn't really do 25% different.
They didn't have to. That's the funny thing. Because this is why we brought that up to begin with, and we weren't surprised when they turned around and reshot most of the show. Because they bought out the Netflix program. If they hadn't bought out the Netflix program, then it would have had to have been like a 25% different Daredevil, right? If they didn't want to have to pay for the rights to make it a third season. But since they bought it out, or fourth season, sorry. But since they bought it out, this technically is a de facto fourth season.
So if they bought it out, why did they even bother not doing the direct sequel to begin with?
I know, because they shot it as this alternate version, because that's what Feige wanted. We actually covered this back when it all was going down. And then when that tested poorly, they went and reshot most of the entire show. So like the first 2 or 3 episodes, there's a few things that are reshot in there, and then from there on out, like most of the show is reshot from what we understand.
I think that they kind of downplayed how much they kept from the original episodes, because originally they gave a feeling like we're completely reshooting this. And honestly, first of all, episode 5, according to the director of that series, of that specific episode, they didn't make any changes to that one. So one episode was left 100%, the one with the bank,
except for I think the very beginning with the shooting of Foggy or whatever and stuff.
Shooting
like that
of Foggy, added. And then I think maybe they peppered in different things, but I think that even like episodes 1 through 5 used a lot of the footage they had, and even the future ones, they weren't they weren't forthcoming about how much they used.
No, but we do know that anything that Bernthal is in a reshoot because he wasn't there initially and stuff like that. But yeah, so no, but I agree with basically what you're saying. I think that's the case.
I personally think that if they would have been smarter, they would have never tried the 25% different, especially if they had the contract that allowed them to do whatever they wanted, and they bought out whatever they needed to.
You and me both.
And the other thing is, once they already decided to reshoot, with all due respect, they ended up creating a very uneven show. I didn't completely hate it as much as some people did, because I thought that there were certain moments that I enjoyed of it. But I will say that they could have made something excellent here, and it's just kind of okay. And there were things that were annoying there, and I'm sure a lot of those things were left over from before.
I think that's what makes it all the more tragic, Price, is that you see those glimmers of hope.
Yes,
there are moments where when the show shines, it can shine.
Right.
But man, is it get brought down by some of the worst shit ever. If not Well, it doesn't get into like any like slapstick crazy like James.
No, but I
Gunn
could
type
tell
of,
just from the
like,
little bit
80s.
I watched, like clearly you were gonna have like what's her face replaced with that black chick in the story.
Oh,
Yes,
Kirsten
Um,
and
McDuffie.
they initially they
Yeah.
replaced the actress of Vanessa with an Asian actress for
Yeah.
no apparent reason. They filmed with her, then they
Then
fired
they
her.
reshot it. Yeah.
I'm still waiting until today for Kevin Feige to admit that they fired the replacement diversity thing that they got and brought back the other actress. Nobody has ever explained to date why they did that.
Oh, I can tell you why,
They should
because
have
they.
never casted her to begin
Oh,
with.
you
It
mean
should
an
have been the
official
original
explanation?
lady.
Yeah.
Yes,
We
nobody
all know
even admitted.
why,
They
but
never
yeah.
even came out and said, "Listen,
They
we
never
par-
will.
They didn't say we parted way with this actress. Now we call this the original actress back.
I think they use the excuse that the fancy story that they like to play off once in a while, which does happen sometimes, like the Michael J. Fox situation. But I think in this, because I do remember initially, I think the story they put out there was when they went to do reshoots, that original actress wasn't available, so they went back to the original actress because she wasn't available originally, which was their excuse. So I don't believe that story, but I think that's the narrative they were putting out.
Here,
Yeah.
the only problem with this is that the original actress actually posted that she was sad that she wasn't invited.
I know.
And I don't think she would have posted that. She didn't bash the show. She just said in some Instagram post or something that she was sad that she wasn't invited. And suddenly she was there and the Asian lady was gone. You can tell me there could be a scheduling conflict. You can tell me whatever you want. I think that recasting that actress who was willing to return with an Asian woman was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I mean, she didn't even look like her. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
I
But we know
understand.
exactly why they did, because
Of
Kevin
course we know
Feige
why.
clearly has this DEI initiative, because he's already we know why. That's why Reed Richards was never going to be white.
Mhm.
You know,
Kevin Feige needs to retire or move on to another job. At this point, he's like Kathleen Kennedy. The only difference I can say is that at least at some point on his resume, he could say, like, I was in charge and this thing was making money, even though he had a really good team of people around him that seemed to have been doing more than we realized. Him, when he's kind of sitting there and doing his thing, flop after flop and failure after failure. And the only thing in like recent times that he had like a big win was Deadpool and Wolverine, something that he wanted nothing to do with to begin with, and nobody wanted that, and it was Ryan Reynolds being the creative force behind it. So basically, Kevin Feige, in my opinion, is a complete failure since Endgame, and has to go immediately.
I don't disagree. John Riker,
that's
to
just
answer
my
your question overall, though, do I think they will? Possibly. I don't know if they'll do it in our lifetime, but I mean, there is a way you could do it as far as like a closer adaptation to the book. Goddess of Whim asks, can we unmake Clockwork Orange? I don't know. It's one of my favorite Kubrick movies, but I mean, if you don't like it, I can totally understand. It's one of those movies that gives people like the heebie-jeebies or creeps or whatever you want to call it.
It's not for everybody, but I do
It's
think
not
it's
a
a
movie
quality
for everybody.
movie.
Yeah.
I'm going
It
to
can
be
make
honest
your
with you.
skin crawl. That's what I was looking for.
Even though
yeah.
I like the movie, and I genuinely do like the movie, it's not a movie that I've watched a million times in my life. It's not a feel-good film for me. You know what I mean? It's like, I understand why it's good. I respect it artistically. I've watched it a few times over the years, but it's not one that like I just figure, oh, I need to watch this again now, you know?
Right. And again, I'm not somebody who's actually against a lot of remakes. It's just more or less, is it good? Is there a good reason for it? Are you bringing something new to the table? Right? Like all the great examples most people use, I'll invoke those a lot of times. Like, you know, The Fly and Scarface and certain things like that are good examples of how you can take something and completely, you know, run in a different direction with it, and it can be good still. And if you're not completely just ripping off the original for no good reason, that's fine with me too. But in this case, since it's based on a book, you could re-adapt it. So this is one I'll make an argument for, because like some people will be like, I don't want a remake. Well, it's like, well, is it a remake or is it a re-adaptation of the book? And a good example of this is when they redid Carrie, right? And I say they redid Carrie because when they initially shot it, it was more of an adaptation of the book, and it wasn't a remake of the De Palma film. But when they tested it, the audience wanted the De Palma film. So what they did is they went back and reshot a bunch of scenes of stuff that was in the De Palma film that wasn't in the book, like the ending, for instance, and stuff like that. It's a little different and stuff like that. So you'll have those kind of situations. To me, it's like if you're just basically remaking the original film, then, or the film that came before it or whatever, then it's a remake. But if you're going back to the initial book or the original IP or whatever it is, and starting from scratch and not, you know, just ripping that off and doing it again, then there's a different argument to be made. It's a readaptation. It's because, you know, we've had tons of Robin Hoods, right? And how many Romeo and Juliets, and how many of these other ones that are based on literature and plays from the past. I have no problem. How many different versions of Dracula have we had? In fact, I have my own little collection of everything I can. Every time I can find a new adaptation of Dracula or Frankenstein, right? So like, and at this point, we're getting close to the hundreds in some of them. So, or at least close to over 100, I should say. But yeah. So anyhow, you never know. I don't think it will happen in this lifetime, though. And if they did it, it'd probably be closer to the book. Sorry, that was a long explanation, but you got your $10 worth, I think. Action Com sends in 5 and says, "Do you think Rock Island song from Music Man is the first rap song? And is it weird for contemporary rappers to sing it?" Rock Island from Music.
I don't think it is, and I'll tell you why. Because I think that the first one is considered by some, at least, the Jubilaires, that Noah song from like 1940 or something. That I think is the first one.
Yeah, because see, rap has been around technically for a long time, right? As far as like in its modern form.
The closest thing to a modern form is the Jubilaires Noah from 1940. That's sort of,
yeah.
Especially there's like 3 or 4 people kind of doing their thing there. One of them, it kind of a rapper. One of them in the middle there. There's this one guy there that kind of is rapping.
See, because there's a lot of old versions of singing, which was like storytelling singing, which was more of talk singing and stuff like that. Or you'll have like, see, because the thing is it's not, when you're doing rap, it's not that you're necessarily singing, it's the rhythm of your voice, right? Like, and it's how you're using the words and the lyrics. And in that respect, like, yeah, as far as like modern rap, if you go back as far as the stuff you're talking about, I mean, I'll even start invoking things when like funk and R&B started coming in, you know, like James Brown. If you listen to a lot of his stuff, he's rapping a lot of times. He's not really singing so much, a lot of his stuff. Bob Dylan did some earlier stuff that I would consider kind of a predecessor to what became rap. You got Queen, especially Freddie Mercury, who was really good at it. Like, I've said it to many people. Listen to Another One Bites the Dust. That song came out in what, 76, 77, somewhere in there? Maybe even a little earlier than that. That is fucking straight up rap. The whole song is just like a modern rap song. You could, in fact, I've heard modern rappers just remake it, like Wyclef Jean did it, you know, and it's just straight up rap. There's no singing in it, really. It's just walking up and down the boulevard. You know, he barely changes his vocal range in that song until even when he's doing the chorus, because it's all just kind of talk on the beat. You know, and he even says to the rhythm of the beat on the beat, you know, it's like it's all there in itself in kind of its infancy form, and I would say. But yeah, it goes back to the roots of rhythm and blues, Southern, even maybe some ragtime, because there was some of that kind of stuff in there where they would do like a lot of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Where it's the type of singing where it was like, it wasn't even necessarily singing, it was just how many words you could get in really quickly with the same syllables or same beginning. You know what I'm talking about?
Enunciations and all that. Yes.
Yeah, but there's a way of saying it. It's a type of singing, and I can't remember the word for it.
I don't know the type of term, but yeah, it's when a vocalist tries to see how many words they can cram within a verse. Yeah, I've seen.
Okay, I thought that it was earlier than that, but that's true.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can't remember the word. Not like pentameter or something like that. I want to say is in the word or something. It sounds something like that. I don't know. Poetry in motion, basically. Scat is an early version of it too. That's true.
The thing that Jonathan Davis from Korn does.
Yeah, pretty much.
Where it sounds like a dog barking.
Staccato might be what I'm thinking of, but that sounds closer to what I'm thinking. I don't know. Doesn't fucking matter. Let's get to the story. Let's the rest of these super chats so we can get to the stories. Mm-hmm. But thank you for that, Action Com. Maybe, but I think price is probably closer to being right on that one. And Goddess of Whim sends in some love for Clobber in Times. Thank you so much for that, Goddess of Whim. We appreciate that. Cheers. And then Go 141 No sends in 20 Mexican pesos or dollars or whatever the heck it is. says, how do they gauge if it's a movie is 25% different? That's a good question. So basically what it is it's a couple of lawyers that say, you can get away with this if you change it by 25%. Well, who gets to gauge 25%? Nobody really. Like they'll run it past a lawyer and a lawyer will say, yeah, you could probably get away with that. So what's 25%? 25% lies somewhere between homage and Mexican knockoff. Does that make sense? That's the best I can give you. The best examples of that, of course, are Star Trek 2009 is the best example because that's where we first learned about it and this whole idea of what it is. And another example of something like that is, I'm trying to think here, besides the one I gave already, because there was some other recent ones where they've had to do stuff similar to this. Oh, like some of the Wizard of Oz movies in the past. There's only a couple of them. The adaptations, the Return to Oz and the one that Disney did a couple years back. Basically, the two Disney Oz movies are the only two that are technically sequels to the MGM film because they paid for the rights to certain aspects of those stories. Does that make sense? Like the Ruby Slippers and stuff like that. So all the other versions have all been 25% different than that. They've had to at least been or their own thing. That's not a very great example. But Tim Hayes has been a member for 42 months. That means he knows the answer to everything now. So if you need to know the answer to a question, ask Tim. Tim knows. So let's get into these stories because we got a couple of funny ones here. At least one funny one. Toys R Us live action movie in the world. What the fuck? So I'm sure all of us are asking, is this going to be a horror film? Because most of them are shut down now and it's going to be about somebody stuck in a Toys R Us all night and Jeffrey's trying to kill him. Or is it going to be the story of how Jeffrey became an entrepreneur? I don't know.
But at a Toys R Us.
Story Kitchen and Toys R Us Studios, the entertainment production arm of Global Toy Brand, have teamed up to develop a live-action film. Yeah, this Toys R Us Studios thing started up a little while ago. But I don't know if they've really done much with it yet. Toys R Us is a cultural touchstone that continues to impact the child in all of us today, said Story Kitchen co-founder Dimitri M. Johnson and Mike Goldberg, announcing a project. As 80s kids considered Toys R Us one of the most magical places on earth, and your parents considered it the most expensive, we're honored to partner to create a film that will capture the spirit of adventure, creativity, and nostalgia that Toys R Us represents. So this is obviously going to be a family film. The film, which is in early development, aims to capture that childhood wonder in modern, fast-paced adventure that taps into Toys R Us brands. What brands does Toys R Us have? Jeffrey the fucking giraffe? Like, okay, somebody please clue me in if they own some of the toys they sell, because yeah,
maybe once upon a time
toys,
they did. That's the only thing I can take a best guess scenario. But as far as anything that was exclusively theirs, they don't have a Toys R Us brand of things, but they have had stuff, let's just say from like a Hasbro or Mattel, that was exclusive to Toys R Us. Toys R Us was doing exclusive back in the day. That is true, but there's never like a Toys R Us brand of toys that I'm aware of. But to be fair, it could be something I'm just very ignorant on.
Yeah, this is just weird. And like Shadow Dancer Chaser in the chat gave me the idea. What's next? Freddy Krueger? Like a horror movie at a Kroger's or something like that? I don't know. This is looks like it's gonna be more like Night at the Museum, it says here. So yeah, they're gonna try and run the whole.
Just wait, Tom. If this does well, we'll get a Toys R Us cinematic universe.
Okay, so here's an answer to our last question. The company is also currently developing Just Cause for Universal. I don't know what the fuck that is. Ruiner for Universal with Wes Ball directing. Don't know what the fuck that is. Evidently, they have some sort of in on Sega's Streets of Rage for Lionsgate. With Escape Artists producing. Toe Jam and Earl, so they must own some piece of that in some way or something.
Oh, I remember Toe Jam and Earl. I was a huge fan of that game on the Genesis days.
The gaming thing makes sense, especially if like they bought in with like Sega or something like that. Perhaps that does make sense. Amazon MGM with Steph Curry is co-producing It Takes Two, whatever the fuck that is. and SIFU for Netflix, whatever the fuck that is. So, yeah, if somebody knows what any of these fucking properties may be besides Toe Jam and Earl and Streets of Rage, please let us know, because never heard of them. They're possibly video games. I don't know. Is that what they are? Jesse says it video game, but I don't know if he means the first two or not. Okay, Joggin says they're all games. Okay, so that's yeah. Okay, so that's what it is. So basically, that tells me back in the day, Toys R Us must have had a deal with Sega, so they must co-own some of these properties or titles.
The more you know.
The more you know, yes. Or the more Tom knows. The more Tom knows.
From the Necronomicon.
I'm gonna raise the dead up in this bitch. So yeah, what do you guys think of this? You guys excited for Toys R Us?
No,
It's gonna try to be like fucking Minecraft and shit.
if it was like a story on the on the story of Toys R Us, like a history biopic, whatever history pick, I would actually be really up for that. I think that would be a really cool movie to see. It's something that I actually would want to see. That's a fascinating story, and I actually don't know much of the history on that. And that is history I'd like to have, because I was someone who went to Toys R Us a lot as a kid. So I would be down for that, really down for that. But if
There's certainly a nostalgia element for it. So if somebody did this in a way that was kind of, I guess what I'm saying, as dumb as this sounds, there's probably a way to do it where it's interesting, but you have to have a creative team that really understands, like whoever made the first Toy Story or something like that, or Lasseter, who made the first Toy Story?
Yeah, it was Lasseter and those guys.
So I'm saying, like, if you had a crew, I don't even know if those guys are in their prime or could even do anything. But I'm saying, like, if you had a group with like the passion
They're
of
all
like
split up now, but
of a Toy Story crew that want to do something cool, there's something you can do with it. But knowing how modern filmmaking works, more often than not, it's just some piece of crap.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, even Barbie was a piece of crap, even though it made money. Just like Minecraft is a piece of crap too. I think I didn't see Minecraft, but I suspect it's a piece of crap.
Doesn't matter. It's critic proof. It's us proof. It's not made for us.
No, neither of those. Neither of those.
So
it seems to be one of those things where if you know the game, you're into it. If you don't seem to know the game, it seems to be the utmost trash. I mean, that's what seems to be the general consensus on it.
I did play Minecraft like once, and it seemed stupid to me. So I think that the movie would seem stupid as well. But you know, people do whatever they do.
Hey, it's getting kids to come out to movies. Man, a few weeks in, I'm still hearing about kids going to see the movie, kids seeing it again. So I'll tell you what, man, it got kids in theaters. They say kids don't want movies.
It did what it needed to do. It did what it needed to do. Sometimes, you know, the truth is, I'm not like you know, I don't know, maybe people even more than 20 years old enjoyed this movie. Maybe there was an audience for it, but I'm saying, like, yeah, it's like Tom said, we're not the audience for it. I understand. I don't really care about Minecraft. The movie seems stupid to me, and it doesn't really speak to me. At the same time, Super Mario did speak to me. I liked that movie, and I liked Sonic. I like the Sonic movies, so there's that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I kind of agree with the super chats that Infinite Wanderer sends here. Toy Story meets Night at the Museum could have been fun like 30 years ago. Too late now. A Toys R Us founder or store biopic might be interesting, though. And that's kind of what I think Nick was saying, too, was like,
yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right. I'm not completely against that comment. I
mean, you could even have some fun with it and do it like with like mix it in with like animations of Jeffrey. Or even have Jeffrey as like a stand-in for whoever it was that initially. Well, like even you could have that guy stand in for whoever the guy was who invented Toys R Us and just kind of do a weird, kind of quirky little like the Pop-Tarts movie with Seinfeld was. I know a lot of people didn't like that, but I thought it was kind of funny and clever. And like we've seen enough of these biopics by now that this is actually kind of I think it succeeded in doing what the Weird Al biopic was trying to do and failed at. I thought the Pop-Tart movie succeeded at. But most people didn't like that and liked the other one. So I'm probably the one in the wrong. So if that makes any sense.
If there was a Night Museum style type, even though a biopic is much more preferable, I would be opposed to that because maybe that would be the key to getting parents to see it and bringing their kids and introducing to kids so they understand where it comes from, especially if it's done well. Now, obviously, I'm not thinking about the modern framing of this, but I'm looking at it just from a standard framing because when you want to bring a young audience into something, you got to have that first step with something. That would be a good first step, is to do something like that to make it look visually appealing to kids. So all it takes is one, adorable looking stuffed animal to show up, and the rest is history. You can market off of that, and that alone can bring the kids in. I mean, that's all it takes sometimes. All it took was a Groot. All it took was a Grogu. And I have a feeling that crypto is going to be next. All I'm just saying is you do that one and boom, shite takes off, my guy.
Well, it makes more sense to do what I said than it did to turn what's-his-face, Smith, whatever the hell his name is, into a fucking ape for his biopic for no good reason.
Oh, yeah, the one pop singer, right?
What's his face? Sam Smith or whatever fuck his name is.
The one whose movie no one saw, like
Robbie Williams.
The one, like
or Robbie Williams. That's who it was. I'm sorry, I got my queers mixed up. I don't remember.
The truth is that was a pretty good movie. Honestly,
it may be, but it doesn't matter. It was marketed poorly. It was a very idea,
poorly conceived. Poorly conceived.
In this case, if you actually took the guy, because nobody knows who the fucking founder is of Toys R Us, who gives a shit? But if you put in the story, all of a sudden there's this kid. And he's sitting at McDonald's or in the toy store. No, actually, sorry, this shouldn't be McDonald's. I'm sitting at Toys R Us, looking through the toys and stuff. And Jeffrey comes standing next to him, and they're talking toys. And all of a sudden, he goes, "Well, do you know how Toys R Us got started?" And the kid goes, "No." Well, then you just tell the whole story like the founder, like the McDonald's movie. But instead of having the founder of Toys R Us being the founder person, have him actually just be fucking Jeffrey, because then that would be kind of funny. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be fun. It'd be kind of quirky and different, and it makes fucking sense as opposed to making Robbie Williams into a fucking ape for no good goddamn reason.
Oh, God.
or what's his face, the dude who made the Lego version of himself. That actually made a little bit more sense than the fucking ape thing. But that's what I'm saying. Get clever with it. Do something unique. Do something different. That is something, like I said, who gives a shit who started fucking Toys R Us? It was probably two guys who said, you know what? We can make a buttload of money just selling toys all the time. Because they had a store that probably the toy section was one of the only thing that consistently made fucking money, right? So that's probably the true story of Toys R Us. I don't know. I just made that shit up speculatory, but I'm probably not too fucking far off. You know what I mean? So do something. Who's Jeffrey Sander? Well, Jeffrey's the fucking giraffe. Anyway. I know I'm going off on this because it doesn't really fucking matter. No, this is a piss poor idea. Unless they come up with something clever, I don't see this working. But then again, I was the same guy who didn't see Minecraft working, so go figure on that one. Should have known better, just like with fucking Lego Movie.
No, it just goes to show you. Sometimes you can never be 100% sure on something, especially if we're not the target audience. It's harder to gauge when we don't have, let's just say, a guy who knows someone who does it. So maybe if we had someone in our lives who was let's just say a big Barbie fan, we don't have that, so we're not going to gauge it well because in our minds, Barbie's dead to us because we were never fans of Barbie.
Partially, yeah. And then we got D-Bud Martin in the house who says, Tom, is it true that MEAD Radio is moving to another platform? P.S. Thanks for playing some tunes for me this weekend. Well, thank you, D-Bud. And yes, due to the constant bullshit from YouTube, we're just moving to Rumble, kids. And their app is getting a little bit better, and certain things are getting a little bit better over there. So as of right now, that's the situation. Plus, I can go in infinity pretty much. So who knows?
Why is there problems with this platform on the MEAD thing? I didn't notice.
Well, every time I play MEAD Radio, I used to be able to do 2 hours before they'd usually shut me down. Now I'm lucky if I can get 40 minutes to an hour in before they start shutting me down. So yeah, so at this point it's kind of pointless. So I've been rebroadcasting a little bit of whatever I'm doing over on Rumble onto YouTube just to get people over there to let them know we're moving. that's the situation. But thank you, D-Bud, for letting everybody know.
Just give
Got us
them
a whim.
time, and they'll transition with you.
I hope so. Got us a whim sends in $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Says, oh, you could do corduroy, a teddy bear that goes looking for a new button for his broken overalls, so he will be a good toy and bought.
You know, I can actually kind of see that idea. That actually, and that's a simple, straightforward idea that a kid can latch onto. And corduroy is still known amongst like kids. And my older daughter, she had a corduroy plushie in the book, so that
Well,
she
there you
could
go.
be onto something with that. Just saying.
Yeah, there's some stuff out there that hasn't really been tapped into. You're not wrong, especially for the modern generations. They keep wanting to make our shit for the modern audience. It's like the modern audience just wants their own shit. I've been saying that for a while, and Minecraft's a perfect example of that. So you're probably right, Goddess. Go141 no says, will Grandma Karen's protesting violent TV show violent toy? Will Grandma Karen's protesting violent toys show? I don't know if that's what you meant to say, but I want them to be the main villain with a kid's message at the end, like okay, so like in the movie, you mean? Okay. I see where you're going with this here. You could put that if it was part of the story, if you were doing it like the story of Toys R Us, but that's not what they're going to do. It's going to be like a Toy Story meets Night at the Museum thing. They're going to try and recapture the Minecraft kind of experience, I bet. But they're trying to make it for our kind of an audience, because that's the thing is, what kids remember Toys R Us? Toys R Us has died over the past 20, 30 years. Kids have quit playing with toys. More figures are bought by grown men now than fucking kids, because kids just play with their tablet. And well, Nick, you got probably more well-adjusted kids than most, but you tell me how often your kids really play with figures and toys.
Oh, they were actually playing with toys for a long time. Now that Ari is 11, she's now kind of transitioned out of it a little bit, but she still loves stuffed animals and plushies. So she was actually a pretty big toy lover, and my youngest was hooked on Legos, and she still kind of is actually.
Legos
so
is kind of the exception, yeah.
Now that she's 9, like she could start, I'm starting to see her slowly transition out of toys, but the transition is going into this thing called Miniverse, where she builds her own kitchen, she builds her own little meals out of toys, and you make it's like fake food. She makes her own food stuff out of it, and
Right.
you can get those at like a Target or Walmart or the 5 Toys R Us that are left. So she does have that. So yeah, I would actually say my kids were pretty big on toys for a long time, actually.
My kid, on the other hand, was more into video games. Unless it was a car or a remote control car, he really didn't care for toys all that. It wasn't toy. He loved Hot Wheels. That was his only thing, but that was just because cars. Cars. ActionCom sends in 5 and says, ever hear about the former Special Forces criminal Jeffrey Allen Manchester, who escaped prison and hid inside a Toys R Us? I think I kind of remember that story. ActionCom. I kind of vaguely there you go, to use that for the movie. In fact, I've heard a few stories where people have wound up managing to live in certain stores and stuff for a long time without getting caught. It's kind of funny how they can pull that shit off. So yeah. But we have another story here. This is a little bit more complex. We're going to try and get to this before we lose Price here. How much longer do you got? I know you're on limited schedule.
I have some time. It's now 7:53. I have like until 8:30 at least.
Oh, okay.
All right, like 8:30. Yeah.
All right. So Warner Brothers movie chiefs, Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy, don't count us out just yet. So yeah, there's been a lot of talk, and I would say a lot of spin about what's going on over at Warner Brothers. Oh, we got somebody joining us who normally doesn't. So hello, Andy. How you doing? Looks like you're working on something.
Yeah, I got lots of work to do. So much to do, so little time.
But you got extra hands there, so.
Yeah. Whew.
You got a bunch of them there, just like 4 or 5 of them there.
Thing. Yeah, I just mailed out a couple Doomcock figures, so I'll have to mail for the and so you have that. So
cool. Well, we're about to talk about Pam Abdy and Mike DeLuca. So with Blockbuster's Sinners and a Minecraft movie at their back, the embattled duo hopes they're finally off the hot seat. At least that's what their boss David Zaslav assured them. We took him at his word. But I've heard there's some shit around Sinners that has the studio pissed, meaning Zaslav. Some about Coogler owns the rights to the film. So, like, yeah, that's like been a big talk about things. But that's outside of this purview unless they bring it up here. For weeks, it was a matter of if Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy were getting fired. It was when, or wasn't a matter of, I should say. The Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group co-chairman and CEOs had been put. Let me make this bigger. That helps you. Had been put on executive death watch, the Hollywood equivalent of Dead Men Walking. Anonymous quotes were flying. Pundits were counting down. Their replacements were being openly speculated about, reportedly even interviewed, and then came a vampire. Well, I always said these things were kind of being blown out of proportion, but yeah. Box office success of Sinners, Ryan Coogler's genre-bending bloodsucker epic, didn't just deliver a much-needed win for the original filmmaker, it may have saved the jobs of the veteran execs who greenlit it. Coming on the heels of a Minecraft movie's record-breaking launch, Sinners pulled in $48 million domestically in its opening weekend, and Sadie agrees. That's a big deal. Sadie, come on now. Hang on.
Oh, that's
sorry about that.
No, you're good.
It may have saved the jobs of veteran execs who greenlit it. We got that already. Both critics and audiences offering what looks a lot like a last-minute reprieve for the embattled duo. Like, people also forget that, like, they've had quite a few hits at Warner Brothers in the last few years, too. So, Abdy and DeLuca had stayed mostly silent as speculation over their future reached a fever pitch. Sources close to the pair say they were disappointed by the half-hearted platitude offered by Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav. Amid the firestorm, no one bats 1,000, adds a source inside of the studio, but there was the crisis of confidence after Joker 2. Then last weekend, as Sinners' first box office numbers rolled in, the executives decided to speak, addressing the runouts and their future at the company. In a candid interview with the Hollywood Reporter, we kind of knew we had the goods just in terms of having watched the director's cut, DeLuca says of Sinners, speaking from his house on a sunny Easter Sunday. But to have the audience validate that, that's really what's giving us the most joy today. We're just happy we're just also happy that as an original swing, it worked out, and we hope it inspires the other studios to take more original swings, because that's how you get a new franchise and keep the industry refreshed. To say that the victory was hard-earned is an understatement. For the better part of 2 months, the press had been brutal. A Vulture piece warned that the rights deal they struck with Coogler on Sinners. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. Could end the studio system as we know it. Bloomberg reported that Zaslav had already been auditioning their successors. Puck implied that they were hemorrhaging money on prestige projects, citing $160 million for Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another, out on September 26th, and up to $100 million for Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride, which comes out next year. With one headline after another, the narrative was sealed. DeLuca and Abdy were toast. Until that is, they weren't. Well, like I said, I don't know. I don't think they were as toast as everybody said they were. First hint of the turnaround came with Minecraft, which stunned with $163 million domestic, $313 million global in its opening weekend. But Sinners, an original screenplay written, directed, and produced by Coogler, was seen as a true tester of their creative instincts, a big swing that, if it whiffed, might have been their last. Still, the duo isn't pretending it's all sunshine and studio lattes. Until a film comes out, there's going to be a certain amount of chatter and wondering, says DeLuca, and sometimes that can lead to gossip and speculation that could escape the walls of your company and leak out to what I affectionately call the snark industrial complex. And let's face it, the clickbait industry does not trade on positive headlines. Abdy puts it more plainly, I just wish people would wait until they see something before they predetermine what it is, before they have any idea about it. That's the part that is frustrating. DeLuca, meanwhile, is still stung by the Vulture piece, which questioned the decision to allow Coogler to retain the rights to Sinners after 25 years. A clause typically reserved for the Tarantinos of the industry. They talked about this as an existential threat to the industry. I mean, it's so ignorant and laughable. He says, of course, it's not a make or break thing for any studio in the industry. It was a competitive situation. Ryan himself went on the record saying he was going to get it from somebody else, and he made a pretty effective case for his movie, especially with the themes of black ownership. This is very important to a personal to him, and frankly, we're proud to be able to give it to Ryan. So it's not even for 25 years. So yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Abdy, meanwhile, is eager to push back on elements of the Puck article that question whether the budget granted to Gyllenhaal's Bride, which was originally set up at Netflix before the streamer balked at the proposed budget, was proof of reckless spending narrative that has trailed DeLuca and Abdy for years. It's so concerning to me that Puck thinks it's okay for every male director that's gone from making an independent film to getting hired to direct a $150 million Marvel film, which is a big budget, which is a budget that The Bride does not have, but yet it's still okay. It's still not okay for Maggie. If it was a male director, or it would be a non-story, but because it's a female director, I'm sorry, it's just wrong, says Abdy. I don't know if I agree with that. Maggie's movie is punk rock. It's fun. It's bold. It's got Christian Bale. It's got Jesse Buckley. It's got multiple ensemble casts. And Mike and I believe in her wholeheartedly. Sorry. She says there's just been all this noise about the film and no one has seen it yet. We just wish people would allow these filmmakers to make their films, to have them come out and let audiences see them. If they don't work, fine. If they took a swing and we miss, it's fair game. But I don't know why they're so focused on Maggie. I do feel it's a little about her gender. I have to be honest. Well, first of all, I've never even heard of this till now. So that's first. And frankly, I think it has less to do with Maggie and has more to do with the fact that you're just giving somebody who has zero fucking experience probably that much of a budget. Like, even most of the guys that you're alluding to have worked their way up.
And a lot of the guys are also really psychopathic about spending when it comes to budgets too. So it has nothing to do with gender or any of that stuff. Yeah, Hollywood has a problem with the budgets where they treat it like gambling. Once they've seen what it's like when they get those billions in and they roll in the money, and then they start seeing all these tanks. Like, yeah, but look at what happened when we were hitting those things. Let's just keep doing it. Eventually it'll come right back up again. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like when someone goes gambling in Vegas, they get that, they get that taste, they enjoy the ride, but then what comes up must come down. But then it's hard for them to get out of the habit because they're so addicted, because they've seen what it's like when they get those riches and now they can't let go of it. And it's clear Hollywood treats these budgets like it's gambling.
Yeah. And this is something I'm glad they finally brought up, because anybody who's listened to me for a long time, I've said that Mike DeLuca should have been running the studio way back when instead of fucking, oh shit, I just forgot his name. Toby Emmerich. Because when both of them came from New Line, and DeLuca was the guy who would always take a little bit more chances on things. And that's part of the reason why him and Robert Shea had a bit of a falling out. And also why, I think that these are working now is because he was the guy who saw movies like Boogie Nights and Seven and Austin Powers and knew they could do something, right? So this is somebody I've had some sort of idea of who he was and what he could do, and I was always curious why he never got the job in the first place, because Toby Emmerich really didn't do shit. What he's most known for is stealing the script for fucking Frequency, right? Like that's what he's probably most well known for. Yet he ran fucking Warner Brothers into the ground for 25 years. So anyway, he's just, let me put it this way, he's just lucky that he had the Dark Knight trilogy and the fucking Harry Potter movies to cover his ass, because Warner Brothers was in a lot worse shape than people like to fucking admit. But the middle-aged version of DeLuca elicits a mix of jealousy and resentment from some of his peers, many of whom see someone who at times hasn't played by the rules as everyone else. Not everyone's buying what he's selling today. He did the same thing when he was running MGM. He places big bets that don't make financial sense. It's not hard to win the Ryan Coogler sweepstakes when you're paying more than anyone else, says top executive at another studio. You know who else used to do that? Harvey Weinstein.
Yep.
For better or worse. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is with him is that I understand that he's done bad things, and I'm not arguing about that. But I think that what people usually forget is that he was a pretty darn good producer.
That's my point. Yeah,
It's really
it has
tough to
nothing to do with the other
consolidate this
part.
because
Yeah.
he is responsible for producing a lot of good movies, and also a lot of times just taking the risk, and he's like Tarantino, I love this thing, I want to gamble on this. There's a lot of stuff that he did that was good. It's just, unfortunately, his legacy and even the way people look at anything that he's done is really tainted by his personal behavior and all that stuff. And I'm not even arguing
No,
that.
yeah, 100%.
I-
No,
I'm not-
and that's not what it's about, right? Like that's not even you're 100% right. The point I'm making is that for better or worse, Weinstein was a guy who knew how to swing. And sometimes he would swing and miss, but a lot of times he would swing and he would hit a double, or he'd hit a fucking home run, or even a grand slam, right? Because Tarantino being a grand slam, Robert Rodriguez being like a double or a triple, Kevin Smith, I hate to fucking admit it, was a double. Like he's a guy who was just getting up to bat every time, and he'd just start hitting these fuckers out of the park. I mean, look at all the Oscars, regardless of if he bought them or not, it doesn't fucking matter. He managed to figure out the system, right? Like, you can't knock a guy who figures out how to play the game.
He understood how to play that game 100%. And I'm going to say something, and I'm really, man, I probably shouldn't say it, but I'm on the fence. Let me find a way to say this in the best possible way. I am not condoning anything that he's done, but I will say that during the time that he was a producer, if there was a movie and he was a producer of it, and this is a terrible thing for me to say, I understand that this is terrible, I'm about to say a terrible thing. Usually the movies had pleasant looking ladies in them. And I know
what's funny? Verbal Riot, do you know who that is? I don't know if you know who he is or not, but he just posted a tweet like last week saying that same damn thing. He had like a picture of Rachel Zegler and I can't remember who else. He's like, this shit wouldn't have happened under Weinstein's clock.
Well, and you know what? I tend to agree with that. I mean, again, I understand that doesn't absolve him from what he's done, and I understand all the ins and outs of what that means. But he, in terms of having an eye as a producer and thinking what do people want to see in movies and what needs to be there, sure, he then took advantage of his position, and you could certainly talk about that. But when it comes to the bottom line of his movies, yes, I think that when he cast people in his movies, they were appealing people, men and women.
It's very crazy that a guy like him, who came from a time where there was less resources to gauge the markets on what people were interested in, he was able to gauge that much better than people who have all the more resources in the late 2010s, 2020s, and they're still fucking clueless. They can't read the damn room. It's so crazy how that happens. Very ironic how that, one guy who has so little to figure it out, and yet he nails it more times than he doesn't. And yet, once again, we have all
the guy,
at
the end of the day, if I have to also say the other side of the coin, the guy, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Oh, I thought something rebooted. I don't know if it was him or Andy Masterson.
Oh, come on, Bryce.
What I'm saying is that I think the biggest tragedy with him is that he got greedy in a really shitty way. Meaning, like, this guy, and this is, maybe it's a sickness, I don't know what to say. I can say one thing. Years ago, I think I've said this before, I don't know. Years ago, I had a friend of mine that asked me to come with him to an event because he wanted to show that he has representation. I wasn't actually his representation, but he thought it would look good if I came with him. He was an actor. So I went with him to this event, and there were all these ladies there. And when he explained that I was his representative, there were a whole lot of ladies smiling at me. Now imagine you're Harvey Weinstein, okay? You're walking into like a networking event, something with ladies. You don't need all that kind of weird hotel massage thing. Like, you just come out and say, hey, I'm Harvey Weinstein. And trust me, you can walk out of there with like multiple ladies together, in my opinion. So he was greedy and an asshole. Like, he couldn't even just take the win, that was given to him on a silver platter. He didn't need to do any of these games. There were plenty of women that probably would have been happy, even how he looks and all that stuff. There were probably plenty of women that would have willingly been doing stuff. Instead, he was a greedy asshole. And that's really the tragedy of it. But that's my opinion, though.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into all of it because I actually read the court thing, and basically what I said then is a lot of what you're saying now, in a sense, is like the problem is that a lot of the women that were coming after him, I can't even believe and I kind of see why he's being retried again, but I don't know if it's going to come out any better because yeah, the whole thing was a kangaroo court of sorts. It was women that he dated, and even then, it's hard to prove sexual assault of any kind. And a lot of it just came off to me like women who didn't get the things that they thought they were being promised.
Buyer's
He-
remorse.
That's
Right.
yeah,
I
buyer's
mean,
remorse, exactly. Yes.
there's also different ladies here. I'm sure that some of them
There's
were like,
several with different stories. Yes, I don't want to kind of amalgamize.
right. No,
them
no,
all.
I don't.
You're
I,
right.
and I'll,
Thank
I'll
you,
steer
but-
away from it, but I'll just say this and then we'll leave it alone. I once met an actress, who was, I was friendly with. She's not like an A-list or anything like that, smaller time actress, but was doing stuff. And in a conversation with her, she kind of, as a matter of factly, was telling me that there was some movie producer that she was having dinner with. And in this conversation that she told me just in confidence between you and me, and I'm not saying her name or anything, she kind of gave me the impression that if something, I understood one thing, that if something needed to happen for this lady to get a role, she wasn't like sitting around with a violin. Do you get what I'm trying to say? She
Oh
wasn't.
yeah, well
like,
that was kind of what I was getting at too. With my whole point with that was like, the thing is, you can say what you say about Weinstein and things he did. I'm sure that there's things he did that were fucking horrible and wretched, but guess what? There was probably another chick or two or three or four or five lined up outside the door to do exactly what he wanted them to do if you weren't willing to.
Right.
So
And-
that's the thing, and that's the way the business worked back. And even Mecca J says because of his actions, Hollywood wants to make sure that doesn't happen anymore. I bet you it still happens.
Oh yeah.
In fact, it probably happens more so, but it's just in a different way and with different, more so gay sex than anything. But yeah.
Well, we have a friend of ours that spent some time in Hollywood and told me some stories that the women producers are just as bad as the men with the Weinsteinisms. I mean, but you look at Roman.
Well, you've heard the
Polanski.
Terry Crews stories and all those, and the gay producers too. Yeah, you're right, Andy.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of strange things. Yes.
Roman Polanski is still celebrated after his gets convicted and takes off and has never been punished for. But they all stood up for him, clapping for him, and everything like that. So there's a lot of hypocrisy that goes on with this. It's like,
Yeah.
it all depends on who's accusing, who's believable, who's that. And I don't want to make assumptions about anybody because, like,
Right.
look, a lot of these things, like, you give somebody power and it'll be abused. Now, my only question is, we've been to these conventions and so forth, and you have to go through a whole process to get into an area where you can get an autograph or a picture taken with somebody. How many things have to be ticked in order for you to get a private audience with somebody with that much power, whether it's a Bill Cosby or a Harvey Weinstein at the time? I don't know that does anybody really not know? Are you that naive to think that, like, oh no, he just wants to see my etchings, or is it something more nefarious?
Right.
I think that, are there naive young ladies that go out there? Yes, there are.
Well, look at the Neil Gaiman story, for example. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but the other thing is too, it's like it's human nature. People like to look at beautiful things and beautiful people. There's a reason that women went to see Lethal Weapon over and over again, because it was Mel Gibson's ass when he's taking a leak in the beginning.
Well, it was almost obligatory that he had an ass shot in every movie. My mom used to make that
Same with
point.
Jean-Claude
Right.
Van Damme.
Yeah.
Now, if that were Jack Black, would they be going back for more? So there's a lot of hypocrisy there. Like, everybody likes to look at pretty people. We want to escape our normal world. We want to get away from. We look at ourselves in the mirror every day. That's nothing special. But when you see somebody who's really at the top of their game, like, wow, wouldn't I like to be like that? Yeah, that's kind of how I see a lot of this stuff. But Hollywood itself, after hearing some of the stories that I have, talking to Gary and stuff like that, it's like, it's horribly despicable out there. Everybody out there is just like, it's filthy. It's like these people are really degenerate, like, that have occupied these spaces, and the ones that get out there on pure talent are probably few and far between.
Most of the time, when there's talented people, they kind of don't always succeed. Actually,
Yeah. No, and I don't think Price and I are even making excuses for anything Harvey did. I think the point we're trying to make is that it's not new, and it probably is never going to stop. But
I want to clarify. I understand that he's done bad things. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying that sometimes in life there's like a situation where it's easy to just push just a regular narrative without looking at a few different angles of it. And the part that he did bad things, I assume that something that he's done is bad. I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm just saying that if you take his bad behavior aside and the fact that he was greedy greedy and he abused his position of power, which I understand all of that. When he produced a movie, at least on a professional level, he understood what he needed to do to sell that movie. And like you said, he took a lot of swings. And if I had to just give his grade as a producer, he was a good producer. Maybe as a person, he wasn't a good person.
Oh, he was batting at least 500 to 600, which is like unseen, right? Like, because you're lucky if an average baseball player can bat 300, and that's damn good. So like this guy was like that. And again, I'm not trying to like overpraise him or whatever, but it was a time where he would give up and coming guys a shot, and it was because of him that independent directors actually got a voice. And he tried with new original properties. Not a lot of the sequels and stuff that they would do would be like, okay, they'd produce something, but then they'd produce their sequels off of it, right? So it was like their original properties. Yeah, sure, once in a while they'd buy a Hellraiser or whatever, a property to do some, but that was their Dimension side of things, which is usually straight to video crap, right? But even some of their straight to video crap was better than most of people's theatrical shit at that time. But anyway, moving on, it does go into basically what I kind of said before, is that they're kind of cherry picking a lot of the success and not a lot of the cherry picking the successful stories for DeLuca and Abdy as opposed to the failures. And they just kind of wax on a little bit more about how, you know, yeah, with every failure comes the worry of, is this the one that's going to cost you your job, kind of thing. But they also said that they have stuff like Final Destination, The Conjuring, which I knew there was another Conjuring movie coming up, The Last Rites, and the Mortal Kombat 2 at CinemaCon this year. And then they talk a little bit more about Coogler. Like, I'm not going to keep going through this thing. This thing just, you know, it's pretty much what it is. But I just want to get your guys' response to this. Do you think that it's been a lot of spin and a lot of just trying to make Warner Brothers look bad with them trying to make it sound like Abdy and DeLuca were going to be out the door already? Or do you think there really was something to that?
Listen, I think that that before Minecraft and Sinners came out, I do think that they were in hot water. And I think that with those two movies, maybe they've bought themselves some time. But I believe that, like, Zaslav is probably waiting there around the corner, just like for anything. If they produce any piece of crap or do something they don't like, there's a realistic chance that he'll unload them. I don't think he's married to these guys, and I think that if he gets just annoyed enough, he'll get rid of them.
Well, I'm not saying that 2 or 3 failures in a row isn't enough for Zaslav to say, you know, you guys are fucking out. But like I said, they keep forgetting that, you know, Warner Brothers since Wonka has had mostly hits, right? The few hiccups they've had, which were like Mickey 17 more recently, the Joker, which was a big deal. I get that. But at the same time, that movie was going to happen one way or another. This time it bit him in the ass, DeLuca and Abdy giving, you know, trusting Todd Phillips too much. Well, no, in the case of Joker, trusting Todd Phillips too much. And
Phillips, and then trusting Bong Joon-ho too much.
Yeah,
he was
that was the thing is, giving him
$118 million, and he wiped his ass with it. So
yeah, pretty much. So like those, and I get it. And sometimes those kind of things are going to haunt you, and you're going to worry about it. And as I've said before, Zaslav is not a guy who will fuck around. He is not going to wait. Like, they have 2 or 3 more bombs in a row, they're going to be gone. Right.
For now, that they've gotten themselves, like, you know, they've bought themselves some time. And I think that when you're in this position, you're really just buying yourself time every time you release a movie. Meaning, it doesn't matter who you are, what company, what studio. Well, unless it's like Lucasfilm and Disney weird activist stuff. But I'm saying that somebody like Zaslav, if you deliver hits, he'll let you stay. If they come up with a few flops and waste hundreds of millions of dollars here and hundreds of millions of dollars there, he'll fire them. He's not going to let them, like Kathleen Kennedy, sit there forever.
No, not at all. And
Kathleen Kennedy sitting there and losing those billions is one of the weirdest stories that over time just doesn't even make sense unless there's something we don't know.
Hey, Bryce,
and let's just leave it at that.
I hear Kathleen Kennedy's on the outs. What do you think?
Yeah, she'll be starting work again tomorrow. Don't worry.
Come on, Charlie Brown. Try and kick the football.
Yeah, right.
By the way, I think I came up with a term accidentally because I was going to say We Are Disney and it came out Wisney, and people are saying it in the chat, and I actually like it. Wisney is good. It's clever, and I don't know how it never came out before.
Yeah, well, and also I got to remind people that before Zaslav came in and Abdy and DeLuca came in to kind of clean things up, like you had Kalar and them guys spending ungodly amounts of money on the streaming shows and movies, you know, dumping tons of movies onto streaming that were 150, $200 million movies. So I think these guys are going to get a little bit of a leash, especially considering theatrical runs, right? You got to keep that in mind. Hopefully the rest of the year plays out pretty well for Warner Brothers. The next big thing I know coming up soon is Superman, and I can't remember what else besides the ones we just mentioned there, Mortal Kombat and Conjuring and whatnot. But those I think are a little bit safer bets for them. So Superman though is more of I think that's going to be more of a James Gunn thing. Like if Superman fails, that's going to fall on his shoulders, and at that point I think he's not going to be renewed after his contract is up, and Supergirl will most likely be the last movie in the new DC Films universe. We'll have to see how that rolls, but yeah. Nick or Andy, anything to say about Pam and Mike here?
I got nothing.
I think Hollywood in general is they're out of ideas, and I think most of it is because of the financing part. The financing people are making too many of the decisions where you don't have any Alan Ladd Juniors going out there and taking chances with things, and you've got these people saying that if it doesn't have some kind of proven track record, and what I don't understand is that for so many people in that industry, in the financial industry, where it's sort of required that you have some kind of winning track record to proceed, why would you keep doing the same thing over and over again with these remakes and these reboots that all they do is fail? Because you're never going to top the original. Outside of maybe John Carpenter's The Thing, how many times has there been a movie, a remake of something that's been as good? But they think they're going to somehow just magically resurrect this existing audience. Meanwhile, you've had the examples of the biggest existing audiences in Star Wars and Marvel that they did all this stuff and chased that existing audience away. Now they're trying to create a new one, and they're seeing how hard it is. I don't understand why these people don't look around and read the tea leaves when the evidence is so clear all around everyone. And I don't know that there's anybody that makes those decisions in Hollywood. Maybe Zaslav, because he seems to be the only one that's moving in a good direction. Hopefully they can keep picking some talent. I like the idea of something like Sinners coming out that's and Tom, you had said earlier when you were reading the article, they said maybe a new franchise. Why does everything have to be a franchise? Why can't we just make good independent individual movies anymore? And then if it really catches on, then maybe look at it.
Because the studios got greedy and annoying, and they're a bunch of jerks.
They want everything, single thing, to be a franchise. There's no one and dones. They don't see it that way. They just see milk it for what it's
That's
worth.
the one thing
I'm
that's
not
really
even
changed in the
against
industry.
the idea. I'm not against the idea of making money. I'm not gonna be like those. How dare those billionaires make the money? But I think it's clear that there's a disconnect from people making these things and the people who want to make money from them at the top, because they gotta learn that. Well, okay, yeah, making money is fine, good, dang, but you can't expect that just because you put A and B together, it's automatically going to translate. They take these very basic ideas and think, oh, well, if we do this and that, it's going to automatically make money. Thinking, oh, let's make Roblox, so we'll make the same money as Minecraft. It's clear that they're not looking at why did this work, and it's clear that mentality pours over into Hollywood. People don't look at why did this work and what do we need to do so we can maybe either ride the momentum or say, you know what, let's set our own trend and let's do something better than that. Instead, they just want to imitate each other and all ride that wave. So no one wants to innovate. They all want to imitate.
I have a question.
That's always been the industry, real quick.
Oh, yeah. And you're
it always has been the
right,
industry,
Tom.
but the problem and the difference is instead of, Jaws being a new original film and then everybody making a bunch of shark fucking movies, you get Jaws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Like that's kind of where this started, is the studios started to realize, oh, we can do a sequel to a movie that was a success. And even if it makes a half or a third of what the original did, it's a success, right? And it's bankable. And they got so greedy and so fucking hung up on the McDonald's. This is the problem that was in Hollywood before woke. And this is one of the things I kept preaching about. was the McDonaldization of Hollywood, right? And
Yep.
that's part of it. It's where you're basically getting the same thing as the last thing, just a new version of it, right? So it's a cheeseburger instead of a hamburger, right? It's the same
This time with
thing,
extra bacon.
but yeah, exactly. But it's just they're just changing it just a little bit slightly, which is sometimes it works. I'm not going to say it doesn't, but anyway, your question, Andy. I'm sorry.
So we always talk about that there's no such thing as a modern audience, but I'm wondering, is there, it's not the modern audience that they think that's out there where everything has to be like, in their la la land, where everything is inclusive. But have the studios trained the audience to expect franchise and sequels with everything that comes along?
Partially, yes, and it's their own fault and because of that, it's killing them because of killing the movie star. That's a big part of that.
No, I'd say Andy is fully correct, and here's why: because they have made people conditioned into this habit of anything that comes off is based off something that came before. The minute people see something that's new, it's gonna be foreign to them, and they don't know what's on the other side of it. And now it makes people more hesitant to take chances rather than taking chances the basic everyday habit. They make it like this weird odd thing where it seems like it's all risky and we don't know what the outcome is of it. They have taught people that no, risks are bad, everything needs to be played safe. So that's why I think Andy's absolutely right with that.
Well, yeah, and I agree. I'm agreeing with him. And part of the problem is that they killed the movie star in the process of, making a bunch of, Marvel movies and other things like that, right? Because it used to be, instead of you getting excited for next insert your Marvel movie / Star Wars movie / whatever IP here, you would get excited for Jim Carrey Can't Lie. It's a gimmick, right? It's not a sequel to anything. That's just the gimmick, right? So you would have an actor mixed with something that would go, oh, I want to see that actor do that, right? Like that's what would draw you in, would be like a high concept or a story idea or a biopic or something along those lines, and you get the right actor with the right storyteller being the director, writers / whatever team, and that is what would used to sell your film, is like, oh yeah, I want to go see Kurt Russell play Wyatt Earp and Val Kilmer play Doc Holliday, right? Like that sounds intriguing to me. Now, is that an original story? No, it's based on a true story. We've had it's been told a million different times, but it's given to us in a way with stars that we recognize and in roles that they should be in, right? Other great examples like Schwarzenegger and Stallone movies back in the day. You never used to say, I'm going to see The Specialist. Be like, I'm going to see the new Stallone film, right? Like, unless it was Rocky or Rambo, nobody knew what the fuck you could say, I'm going to see The Specialist, and people are like, what the fuck is that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, if you said, I'm going to see the new Schwarzenegger movie, they knew exactly what you're fucking talking about. It's like, Schwarzenegger's got a new movie out. So, okay.
The other day, I saw a real life example of something you've said several times in different streams, Midnight's Edge and whatnot. The other day, my daughter had asked my wife about seeing Moana 2 or something like that, and my wife said, "Why bother? You're going to be able to stream it in a few weeks." And that was something we never did before, especially people of my generation. It was like, if you didn't see it in the theater, you didn't know that you would ever see it again. That was way before VHS came along. And now it's like, people are just like, you know what, I'll wait for it.
The 45-day window has not helped the movies. I mean, yeah, there's exceptions to the rule, obviously, but for a lot of other movies, I do believe it's definitely hurt a lot of movies. Once again,
but Andy's
Minecraft
100%
is an
right.
exception, Barbie's an exception, Spider-Man, sure, fine, but yeah, Andy is definitely right. There's a lot of people have recognized that short gap, and I get it. I absolutely get it. Why spend all that money when you go through 20 minutes of previews, which I'm not joking, by the way, it's literal. It's now gone to 20 minutes. Now, if you want to call that as ads mixed with previews, yeah, it's now to 20 minutes. When I saw, oh God, I saw A Working Man opening night. I was lucky that for that movie is actually trimmed down to 10 minutes.
I got like 30.
But Nosferatu, I got 22 minutes. As much as I love Nosferatu, that was freaking, and I timed it. 22 minutes for Nosferatu. You're lucky I wanted to see that movie as much as I did.
Price has to head out here, but Anything else to say about this price before you go?
No, not really.
All
But
right, go
I
ahead and
just
plug your
wanted to
wares
let
then.
people know that at 11:45 p.m. Eastern today, it's the Night Owl with Professor R2. And my live stream channel, I always say this and I kind of feel like a broken record, but it really is true. People that follow me usually on the main channel, and a lot of people don't even realize that it's a different channel. But I'm going to share it now, and if you can do a like to my live stream, I'm starting to get closer to like, if I got 1,000, it would be cool, and I'm starting to head in that direction, but I really need more subs. I feel like
All
I'm
right, so check
PBS
it out.
now, but it's true. I need more subs.
Well,
But instead of money, instead of donations, I'm just saying like sub to the channel. That's it. That's all I ask.
I get
for.
yelled at for not doing it enough, so I hear you.
Yeah.
But so check out Price's stuff, and you'll be live later on. And anything else?
No, that's it. Thanks for having me, man. I'll see you
All
later.
right, take care. No,
Bye.
and
Price.
Andy's right though, and we shouldn't even be that. It shouldn't even be that bad because we were already semi-conditioned to the idea that, like Andy said, like he's right, because before HBO, the best chance you had of seeing a movie again was either if it was either if it was successful enough to get re-released, but if it was a bomb, then you're fucked unless it got picked up on television. So that means you have to wait 2-3 years to see it if you're lucky, and then you got to catch it on TV. So you'd have to know it was on.
Yeah.
And I know some people are like, well, what's so wrong with that? We didn't have like the digital guides and shit that y'all had now. Like,
Yeah, we had pieces of paper you had to look through.
yeah, you had to either get the newspaper or get the TV guide and hope to gosh that you caught the night that you didn't have something going on the same night, or your dad wasn't watching a fucking football game the same night or something else, and yeah, until VCRs were around, that was kind of the things you had to worry about. But then we were you would think that we were kind of conditioned already to the idea by the time home video come around, and DVD, by that time, the window had shortened even more so. I think it's the product that really hurts because people just, and I think I know some people say it's the price, which I know that plays into some of it, but it's because, yeah, they don't want to risk the trouble and the price of going to the theater and then not liking the movie or knowing it's going to be just more of the same bullshit.
Well, what's more valuable than your time?
Yeah,
Especially
exactly.
these
Well, that's
days.
my issue. And that's my issue with a
Agreed.
lot of it. And speaking of that, that
Agreed.
actually gets us into our final story, which is just a short one here. We have the revealed runtime of Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. This motherfucker is going to be 2 hours and 51 minutes.
Oh,
Jesus
shit.
Christ.
Like it needed another reason to fail.
Yeah, my
What
bladder
are they
feels bad.
thinking?
It better be freaking amazing.
Phenomenal. Yeah,
And
well, it
here's
ain't gonna matter.
I say it as someone who enjoyed Dead Reckoning Part 1. I really enjoy it. I'm one of the people who had no issue with the runtime. For me, this is pushing it. This better be worth it. I better not see some shit.
Well,
in
not
there
only
where I'm
that, you're
like,
going to be able to get 2 screenings of Lilo and Stitch in the same amount of time as one of Mission Impossible.
oh well, I'm not really worried about. I mean, no matter what, I don't honestly feel like it's going to be Lilo and Stitch, even if it was an hour and a half. You're talking about Lilo and Stitch. That was never going to have a chance. So let's be fair here. Lilo and Stitch is going to be the runaway hit. It's not.
That's
even
what I'm saying. Yeah, it
close.
already had an uphill battle. This was like basically kicking it in the shins.
It's just so weird. Why are they doing this competition again? Last time they were sandwiched in between Barbie, Oppenheimer, and Sound of Freedom, and now they're going directly against Lilo.
I think
and
they think
Stitch.
it's going to be counter programming, but the problem is, and this is what I
It's
keep
not,
reminding
though.
people, is that yeah, this is going to be one of those movies that it's going to surprise the piss out of some people because it's got multi-generational things going. The kids that have kids now, we're talking little kids, right?
Yes.
Those are the kids that grew up with this movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
Kinda
dude,
like
that's
your
the
age,
thing.
Nick.
Lilo and Stitch has crossed over to generations. My youngest,
Well, no, but I mean,
loved the
this is
movie. She loved
this
the
is
show. Her
this
and
is
her friends were in
this
the
is
play.
exactly what we've been talking about the whole show, though. This current young modern audience that they're trying to get, Lilo and Stitch is theirs.
Yep, it's absolutely.
That's what I'm
theirs.
saying. Is like, so
Yep.
this makes fucking sense to me, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
even though I know it's going to basically be a 1-for-1 probably remake of the original film, I get that. But that's what they want. That's what this audience wants, and good for them. And I've seen the fucking trailers and the previews and the things they're doing. It's brilliant. It's almost as brilliant as the Deadpool stuff so far. I can't wait to see what else they come up
absolutely.
for.
No,
It's
the
gonna be a huge
marketing
hit,
for
so,
it has
yeah.
been really good. I will give them credit where it's due. The marketing's been really good. It's got my youngest one hyper. She's acting like Stitch out of excitement, wanting to see it, which is fine. I know she loves going to a theater. This will only amplifies. She's already asking when when's the merch coming out at the movie theaters first? So you know she's gonna be begging Dad, could you give me this? Okay, can you get that too? I can already hear her. Oh, Dad, look at the new popcorn bucket. She's gonna want it all. She's gonna want it all. My wallet's doomed come late May.
ActionCom, you got your wish because Andy turned off his camera, so now his creation is no longer staring at you. I was trying to figure out who he was sculpting. I hadn't quite figured it out yet.
It's my friend Frank, who passed away back in February.
I'm sorry to hear that.
We're getting, all of his friends are getting together this Saturday, so I'm making little Frank bobblehead elves to give out to his friends as a memento.
There's the answer.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear about the loss. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, it was cancer, was unexpected. And you get, when that happens, it's nice to see their suffering end for them, because it's not pleasant. But what you said there with a shot-for-shot remake, it's sort of like that argument that they make for the comic books. They don't want to make it exactly like the comic books because people have already seen it. Like, no, they've seen the comic book version. They haven't seen, and plus, I would much rather have the shot-for-shot remake than these clever reimaginings that aren't clever and they're not even imaginative. I would much rather see something that's a faithful adaptation and have it be done well because you did copy from a good source, rather than, like, have somebody coming in here with their clever ideas or what they think is a clever idea and they ruin everything. I mean, like, let's remove the love story from Snow White. Hey, how did that pan out? Every time they try and fix something that's not broken, they truly break it. So give me a shot for shot.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head of why a lot of these things works. Even and yes, it kind of leads into the woke aspect of it, but it's more or less what they're doing is taking away from. Now that's the big difference, right? Instead of bringing something new to the table, like the example I brought up earlier, which was The Fly, right? What did Cronenberg bring to the table? Well, Cronenberg brought to the table was making it an AIDS allegory, right? And you can do that. You can bring a modern twist to something, but on its surface, you don't see that as you just watch it as a monster movie. But if you start digging into it and start realizing, okay, what was going on at the time and what's happening to, Brundle and all that kind of shit, like, then it starts to kind of make sense and click with you. Then, okay, I get it. But it doesn't take you out of the movie because it's not like all about it. It's not hitting you on the head. There's another character in there who's dying of AIDS to kind of parallel it or anything like that. But you're 100% right. And a lot of the modern stuff, they just take shit away. They change it, the heart of the soul of what it was. That remake of The Fly didn't change the heart and soul of what the original was. It just made it 10 times more serious and surreal, right? Like, that's what it did. Because you watch the original film, it's so quaint. It doesn't even feel like it was a film that was made, I think, in 1960 or 61 or something like that. It feels more like a early 1950s film in comparison. But it's funny because, like, all these remakes and stuff, like, they were basically the same age as the other one. Oh, we lost Andy because his microphone went wonky on him, I think. He's still in the back. Oh, there he is. Okay, he's back.
Ta-da.
But yeah, I don't know. I just wish we could get some kids or people who could bring something new and interesting, because then I wouldn't care you could give me 20 different versions of King Kong as long as it's something cool.
Paulie hit on something in the chat there it's a really good point, and it's sort of a trend that you see on Twitter right now. All these pictures of Sydney Sweeney everywhere, and there's no shortage of them, and it never gets tiresome. If you were to take the Glenn Powells, the Sydney Sweeneys, the what's the guy from 1923, the good-looking fellow that was in that, like, Sklenner.
Oh, I forget his name, but yeah, I know
Brandon
what you're talking
Sklenner.
about.
You start putting these people, and you could actually make movie stars again, because, again, people want to see beautiful people do fun things that we can't do. So I think if they start to get back to a little bit of reality and accept, like, and not to bemoan human nature, but to embrace it, like, and lean into that a little bit, you could actually get people to want to go to a movie again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, the movie star is what used to sell films, right? Like, even Schwarzenegger being in a movie with Danny DeVito where they play twins. That's the gimmick, right? Like, that's what brought you into the fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger as a kindergarten teacher. That's what brought you into the movie. You know, sorry, go
You
ahead,
see
Nick.
someone like a Glenn Powell, and you see the potential there. He's got the look, the name. He's definitely got the stature, the perfect jaw and all that. He's definitely got the charisma too to be like a star if they really emphasized on him and try to give him stuff. Obviously you can put him in some big IP stuff, but also give him something to call his own as well. Like he's definitely got that there, but it's clear they don't. It seems like they have lost the concept of stars, and everything is once again about the big IP because no one's seeing these things for the star. It's for the IP.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the super sticker, Flying Blind on a Rocket Cycle. We appreciate the support here. And thank you again, ActionCom, for your super chat from before. And I think we're caught up then. So with that, I think we're going to roll on out of here. So head on over to Nick's to check out Toxic Tuesday, where he'll be talking about rush hours this week. Anything else you want to plug, Nick?
Just Toxic Tuesday rush hour in 55 minutes or less, I think. And Klobby's Comic Shop will be back open for business Friday night. Whatever else comes up between now and then, I'll figure it out as I go on. But I'll be back here Thursday. Thanks for having me, Tom. Good at chatting you and Price. And good to have Andy Masterson here. Are we doing the Sunday show as well?
I believe so. I haven't decided yet what we're going to do yet. But yes, we should be on for that. All right. So with that, Andy, anything you got coming up? I think you're on Doomcock tomorrow, right?
Yep. Be on Pop Culture Breakdown. I'll hit there about 9:00, and we'll be going over the latest news, all this stuff. I think we covered the end of Daredevil last week, so that will be cleared out. We'll probably be talking about, and we will be reviewing The Naked Gun, the cinematic masterpiece.
Awesome sauce. All right. And with that, I got to go tell Sadie to be good.
Yeah.
So take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you probably tomorrow on the morning show, hopefully.
Cute kitty.
Available now for the first time ever on DVD from Midnight's Edge After Dark Productions. It's My Two Dads, the complete first season starring Mexican Iron Man Tom Connors and Culture Casino. Available now for $19.99 while supplies last.